Good morning. It is what's today? Thursday, March the 19th, which makes it 19 days of the 30-day show. I'm here. I'm Omi Bell. I'm here with my co-host Cameron Calvin. How you feeling this morning?
I am feeling ready for history.
Yeah?
Today's gonna be a historic day. You want to know why? I
Say
know you
why.
want to know why.
You're dropping the
George, first time? No.
uh,
Thank
what
you.
is it?
Not me focused per se. Howard University, first time ever getting to the actual tournament. We won
Oh.
a thriller, and we are playing Michigan today. I'm hosting the largest Howard alumni watch party in the city this afternoon or this
Oh,
evening.
nice. Congratulations.
It's going to be huge. I can't
Yeah,
wait.
so I think there's three HBCUs in the tournament this year.
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah. So I'm
yeah.
just I'm sitting here waiting for history. You know I love my HU.
So today is Thursday, March the 19th. And to Cam's point, March Madness begins today. Also, happy birthday. Um, it is the birthday of comedian Miles Mabley, born on this day in 1894. How about that? It's also still Women's History Month. Okay, how about that? We love it. Celebrate women all over the world. We so what's happening on your timeline these days?
What's happening on my timeline these days?
Mm.
The Save Act. That's been really critical. Right after the show yesterday, I went over to a protest on the steps of the Capitol. The Save Act, for those who don't know, is not going to save you. It's a Republican push bill that is looking to greatly restrict and reduce your ability to vote. It's the bill that's been talked about where your name has to match up to your name on your driver's license and your voting registration. I'm sorry, has to match up to your birth certificate. So if you're a woman who was married and changed her name, she's going to need that documentation. It restricts the types of, even if they are legal state issued IDs, it restricts the types of IDs that are available for you to use when you vote. And estimates have said it can disenfranchise as many as 35 to 40 million people. There's over 12 million people in the US who right now don't have access to their birth certificate. So if you wanted to reissue or get a new one, also, hey, Doge cut a lot of those people. So the lines are backed up. So this is I went over to a protest. Charles Schumer was over there. Raphael Warnock of the Senate did something great. So that's actually, I think, because I started watching that yesterday,
Mm.
it's that, and then it's a bunch of Claude updates. Like people telling me all about Claude because I've been going deep. I've been learning more and more. I'm on a 90-day switch over from any use of ChatGPT. We have our own LLM, but we also use Gemini, Claude. We were using Gemini in chat. I'm trying to go to Gemini and just Claude. And so, boy, oh boy, there's a lot of social content about all the things you need to do to use Claude. So, save Act and
Oh,
Claude on my timeline
yeah.
and
Okay.
watches.
And watches. Okay. Yeah, that's important. What I think is interesting about the whole ID thing is again like just misinformation in terms of like why would you want people to have ID when they vote? And I'm like, who's voting without ID at all? Like that's not even real. You know what I mean? Like that like when you go, you have to have ID. Like it's not I think that is the crazy part about it is that like you have to have ID. An example of this too, in terms of who it blocks out or has a potential to block out, is when I was changing my name. So when I was changing, the other thing is like the systems don't move fast enough. So even if you've done the things to attempt to have your name changed, because I think there's this picture of like, oh, people just out here with the wrong name on their ID, which is dumb. That's a dumb idea. That's not real. These IDs are still relevant to the point that like they do have name of yours at some point on them. Okay, so like the idea of like, oh, your ID is just walking around with an invalid name on it doesn't make sense. and you have to have ID to get into the polls anyway. And then during the time that I was switching my name over, my ID, I switched my ID like over first. But and when you go to the DMV to do all the things, they'll ask you about your voter registration, or if you ain't registered to vote, you can register to vote, that kind of thing. But I don't know of, and I don't know if somebody out there knows, but I don't know of a place where you just log in and change your name on your voter registration at this point. It's all coming through other systems. So I change my name on my ID, but when it's time for me to go to the polls, they still have my old name. And in a lot of systems, they said, even in the IRS, I've changed my whole social security card and everything. But if I log into the IRS site, it still says my old name. So I'm like, the systems are not catching up with each other such that this makes sense either. I don't necessarily hear that argument anywhere though. I don't hear the argument about the systems. I mean, I
The
hear the argument about how it's ridiculous and how like I hear people talking about, oh, if you get married, but like literally I did all the things I was supposed to do. The system didn't change my name
in
over,
the
and I actually
system,
don't know where to go, because it's putting more burden on me in the sense that like now I got to figure out. So I changed my social security card, changed my bank accounts, all that's changed, right?
mhm.
But for somehow the IRS has not changed. Now, granted, for me, I have the way I switched my name is that I changed my first name to my middle name. So in that case, if you look at my ID, you still see you see the three names, but so you'll be like, oh, okay, well, this name, we know this is her because now my first name is my middle name. But if you were gonna go purely like the three names I have on this on the IRS got to match with the three names on my ID, then it'd be like, no, this ain't the right person, which is ridiculous. But
It's
no fault of mine, because
no,
I think
you're
like
right. It's moving. It moves too slow, and I want to be very clear about what this is because to your point on the misinformation and you're a perfect example of something that that's one of the many layers that's going to catch everybody. The specifically what it says, the SAVE Act would require voters to prove their US citizenship with specific documents when registered to vote in a federal election. And now on its face when you say that, well, yeah, you want everybody to be US citizen. Well, of course we do. But proving, you'd be surprised, proving citizenship and proving who you are two very different things. Do you want to
absolutely.
know the list of documents that prove you are a citizen?
Go
An
ahead.
enhanced driver's license. What is an enhanced driver's license? That is a driver's license that shows you it acts as a driver's license and almost a passport. But guess what? There's only 5 states where you can get an enhanced driver's license: New York, Vermont, Michigan, Minnesota, Washington State. If you don't live in one of those states, the driver's license you get is not an enhanced driver. Even if it is the new real ID, the real ID does not prove citizenship. The real, and that's, there was a whole push to everybody needs to get a real ID driver's license or a real ID card. You might have just did that last year because it was like you couldn't even fly supposedly if it wasn't last year. That's not considered an enhanced driver's license. You have to have a valid US passport or passport card. I think it's some 70 to 75 million people don't have a passport, and which is okay. You don't need a passport you shouldn't need a passport to walk around the US. You have to have a US military ID along with a record of service showing you're showing US birthplace. So you got to have an ID from the military and a record of ID of saying you were born in the US. You have to have a government issue ID that shows US citizenship, which is an enhanced driver's license or a US passport. So those are the same two things. Or the last thing is you have to have a government issued ID paired with a document that shows you're a citizen, which is only considered a birth certificate, naturalization certificate, or other official proof of citizenship. So for you have to go, if you're not in one of those 5 states, when you normally just could go bring your driver's license, now I gotta go find basically either a passport or a birth certificate or a naturalization certificate in order to walk into voting. It's like and that costs money. To your point, the systems don't catch up. It's is it's it's abhorrent. But when it's called the Save Act, Safeguard America Act, they named it that specifically. So like, how could you be against the Save Act? We want to make sure people are citizens, and they're trying to set it up for the trickeration. And people are like, yeah, we all want us to be citizens. Like, little do you know, you might not be able to vote because you don't live in one of those states and you don't have a passport.
Right. And I think that the sort of you know what, who was on their marketing team over there? Because I swear, I ain't gonna lie, however they know how to talk to their audience, yeah, they know exactly how to talk to their audience. They know how exactly what's gonna rile them up. They know exactly what is going to like make them tick. They know exactly what will cause them to like feel like they want to rage. Like they have complete it seemingly they have complete control over the emotions of their audience, and they double down on it every time. Like that is it is okay. Terrible. Yes. When I zoom out, because I think the way I was thinking about this yesterday, because I had multiple conversations about what's happening with Uncle Nearest yesterday. So I have a group chat of like executive women, and we were talking about it, and we were talking about like we're just tired of the commentary, right? And we're just like, this is too much. We don't know what's what at this point. The court documents are saying one thing, Fawn is saying another thing, blah blah blah. And then I shared one of the posts with you, and then you're like, dude, like I'm tired of watching this too. And I'm like, all right, bet. Here is what I realized about myself after the conversation that we have via DM. I am typically looking at a thing not for the content. I'm looking at the context, because in the conversations that I'm having with multiple people in different realms, I am thinking about what the thing behind the thing, right? So I'm always thinking about like, not usually thinking about the thing on the surface, on the face of it. Like, yeah, I can have a conversation about that. But couple things. One, I want to be ready in any conversation I'm in with anybody on anything they might bring up. So
Oh
the
wow,
context helps me
that's a
be
lot
able
of
to,
pressure.
yeah, it's my brain works different. So I would say like it feels like that, but it's actually not that hard. I mean, like I talk to a lot of different people on a lot of different levels. And so there's this I'm reading what people at different wealth levels may be reading, like Spear magazine, Philanthropy Today, philanthropy.com, like, and then I'm looking at, I don't watch any reality TV at this moment, except for maybe like I've been watching Blue Therapy on Netflix. But I don't watch like Real Housewives anymore or anything. Like I don't watch those things. I just see the commentary come across my feed or whatever, and I might see it and somebody else may talk about it, and I learn about it that way. Or I watch like Carlos King do, and I'm typically, anyway, I'm saying that to say I watch a lot of things. And I'm typically not
Uh,
watching because I want to consume exactly what they're doing or saying. And so to this point of like this terrible thing that everybody needs to be mindful of, like when you vote. Another thing that I saw that's happening in Virginia is that they're getting these pamphlets or like flyers in the mail that have all this like um civil rights looking imagery on it, and it's like we need to save America, or we need to blah blah blah. But the people who are sending that out are not actually black people at all or care about civil rights. They're
no,
using it, they're using text messages, they're using all of this to try to, again, there's this infiltration of your thought process that's happening. And so I think it's really interesting. So I think I'm watching a lot of things. I don't know if you saw this. The USPS is saying they about to run out of money. Did you see that?
postal
I said
service.
not the postal service about to file Chapter 11.
They
Yeah.
hasn't it happened? That's happened before, or they've come close, and USPS has been. It's so weird how certain systems like that, the quasi government systems, legit be running out of money. You know who else damn near about to Chapter 11? The Amtrak. Like certain systems like don't make money, but I think they use and watch Trump. The Trump administration will let them run out of money because they don't want you getting your mail.
Well, they want to take it over. So the goal
Exactly. And
there is like,
privatize it.
yeah, this is just a company in peril that can be acquired by private equity. You know what I mean? Like this is not to them. This is a company in peril that could be acquired by private equity, right? Like that's how they're looking at it. Like, okay, bet we can control that too. Cool. Or
That would be so devastating. So because I know this exercise was taught. The reason why I was saying it wasn't, I just googled it. It wasn't chapter 11, but they were close to it and they had to get
no, they're
emergency.
not. I use that figuratively. They're not filing shit. Nobody, the USPS is not filing Chapter 11. I use that figuratively. So just to be clear, but go ahead.
No, because not think about if private equity took it over. They would do an analysis of the US like, oh, these rural areas don't get mail as much. So you only get mail once a week
Yeah,
or twice a month. And it's like you just disenfranchised from getting the ability to get mail, which is
yeah. All
uh,
in the name of how can we make it more efficient? How can we make it make money? Right.
exactly.
So like it would be so the news says if it continues business as usual, the US Postal Service is on track to run out of cash for paying its workers and vendors in about a year and may have to stop deliveries. Postmaster General David Steiner told lawmakers this week. The warning is the latest development in the longstanding money troubles in the USPS, a unique federal government agency that relies on stamps and service fees, not tax dollars, to deliver mail and packages 6 days a week to every address in the country. A quote: "I'm not sure that the American public is aware that the Postal Service is at a critical juncture. I know that I wasn't aware of the extent before I took on this role. But at the current run rate, and if we continue to pay our required obligations in the same manner as we have done in recent years, then we will be out of cash in less than 12 months," is what Steiner um, said. So I think that what's interesting about that too is, do people still value getting things in the mail now that we have this like whole Amazon situation?
Yeah, I think it's value and see that's a tricky subject because even with new technology and modern conveniences on so many different services, it's like, well, then it seems like, oh, it's just easy to take away. I almost, it's not the exact same thing, but it's like, oh, well, then you shouldn't have free TV, like ABC and NBC. People like if I just have an antenna and I just turn on TV, there should be something not just like entertainment watch, but for pure, even for news and information purposes. I might not get as much physical mail, but I need to be able to have the ability to get mail. And if it has to,
That's tricky too, though,
why?
because then that doesn't necessarily knock out the argument of just having Amazon distribute it all.
If the thing is you can't there would have to be, if a private company did it, it would have to be restrictions and you could not limit the amount of the access to people's mail.
Yeah, I don't think they would, because that wouldn't make sense. I think they would be like, what else do we have access to? Something that's bigger than, so like, yeah, let everybody have their mail, but if we have control over the mail, then what does that mean? So I think that's the
But it
interesting
also
term to
means
me.
about controlling the cost of mailing, because right now,
True.
and the cost keeps rising, and that's a natural thing, but and it probably will keep going up because fewer people may be mailing stuff. But I it just I just see, maybe immediately it works, but it just feel it's not like it's a right to get mail, but it feels like it's a basic, hey, here's a contract, here's some just things you're gonna get. You're gonna get to be able to get water. Well, I got there's this whole American contract is it looks shaky and shakier as days go by. And
It
Trump,
is. I just wonder
think Trump
what.
is exposing, like this, not just Trump, this administration is exposing so much of that in real time. Because I was about to say, well, you should just be able to turn on the faucet and get water. You got to pay for that too.
Yeah, we
So
paying for all of it. Like you were saying, like free TV, and I thought to myself, what? But because I mean, I'm not saying. Listen, I also don't want to, because I think there's like a misconception that like everybody has good access to the internet. They don't. You know what I mean? So like some people are still putting up an antenna somewhere and getting channels. I believe that probably is happening. I'm saying that like a lot of people are so far away from that life now that they just think that that's not happening, right? Like, oh, you have access to the internet. It feels like nothing has free access anymore, especially now that like, okay, well, like PBS or whatever those things, except for maybe radio. And actually, I saw a post recently. I don't have the stat though. That said that like actually people are still very much listening to free like radio. And because I think that like there was some stats on like, oh, people, nobody's listening to radio anymore, but it's like actually people are still listening to free radio. Um, and the demographic that even listens to Urban View skews an older demographic. So I don't know. I mean, I think that like there's so many things. Uh, Eva said, "I remember when stamps were 22 cents, right? Okay, I remember stamps were
What are they
50
now?
cents.
39 cents?
No, I think stamps are like $1 now, or no? How much is a stamp? Let me see. Oh no, they're 78 cents. A book of stamps costs $15. But like, I can't tell you the last time I mailed something with a stamp. I went to USPS, and even if I went to, I'm sorry, I went to the UPS store. The UPS store hooks into USPS, so I can just mail from there. If you go to USPS though, you might get a little cheaper, and I just get to pay for the stamp when I get there. But to like keep a book of stamps feels like a very old thing to do. Yeah, stamps are 78 cents now. Yeah. Oh yeah, Eva said you have to pay for a lot of PBS programs now. It's so true. And like if I'm paying, I'm like I pay for Hulu. So in paying
Mhm.
for Hulu, that's how I'm getting my streaming. Right? That's how I'm getting my news. I pay for Peacock. Go on Peacock, that's how I'm getting. I pay for NBC, I pay for Paramount Plus. I think I stopped paying for Paramount Plus actually. Because I don't really watch it as much. I watch Hulu and I watch Peacock. And then I have like HBO Max, Apple TV. What else do I have? I think that's my main ones that
Mhm.
of course Netflix, but those are like my main ones that I'm going
You
to.
know I don't pay for Netflix.
Yeah, well, T-Mobile had this deal one time. I don't know how you not paying for it, but T-Mobile had this thing where like if you got T-Mobile, you don't have to pay for Netflix.
Let me Google that because I got T-Mobile.
Yeah, they had
No,
it, and then
I looked at it. So and in the Lord, please forgive me because I wrote this
well,
down
don't reveal nothing. What you better
when
what you about to say? Wait, if the Lord got to forgive you, you making me nervous about what you about to say.
no, it's the Lenten season. I take it seriously about giving up things and trying things that you're fasting. You actually want things that actually can allow you more time to focus on God. That I think that's part of the reason of being in the Lenten season before we get into Easter in a couple weeks. And I wrote this down. I was prayerful about it. I wrote it down. One of the things that I thought I was I tried to give up was um, streaming. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna cut all my streaming services for a month or for 40 days, and then I'll see what I don't miss, and then I'll pick stuff back up. So I actually went through, cut my Peacock, cut my Netflix, cut my HBO Max, cut my
Wow,
Paramount
that's
Plus.
great.
Couldn't cut my Amazon Prime because it's kind of like baked in. And I couldn't cut Disney Plus because the Disney Plus package made you buy it for a year. So it's Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN all wrapped in one.
Hmm.
And my dad uses my Amazon account and my Disney Plus account when so he got his own thing on there. But I said, forgive me because I picked back up. I kept watching those. And the whole point was not just to cut them, was to cut them and not watch them. Because I realized as much as we have to get information, and there's a lot of ways to get information, I was like, hey, if I'm really serious about focusing on being a person pushing out information, pushing out content pushing out creative, I'm not necessarily being inspired. It does. You say, "Oh, I need inspired to know what's there." It's like, no, I'm letting so many things. I realize how many hours I'm just giving up to mindless watching, even background noise. You know, what I'm saying? Like, oh, I want something on in the background. It's like it might be weird, but I need more. Like, if you hear more clarity, but if I'm hearing somebody talking, I'm hearing all this background noise specifically. It is not allowing my brain to take the next level it needs to take to focus. And so that was she said don't reveal nothing. But yeah, so that's why I said let me I'm sorry, Lord. That was one of the things that I gave up that gave up that I slipped on. I'm trying to get back to it, but I'm not trying to get back to it. I'm back to it, but I know I've slipped up and watched and been on streaming a couple times uh
I
since like
think that what I would say is like we need to figure out what an integrated life looks like, and we need to have that conversation, right? Like I don't. We're at a point now where like
explain that
the
explain
way.
make sure you explain that definition of what
Yeah,
you
I
mean
am.
by like
What I mean by that is like where we look at one thing now has everything. And so we need to figure a way that it's not a I gotta maintain my peace or I gotta stream. I gotta like we need to figure out a way that figure out what the balance of being a human looks like now today. And I think sometimes a lot of, in my opinion, people are holding to what it looked like before technology got to this point. And so there's this reminiscent feeling of like before now, or like, dang, this is really, and it, but because we didn't catch it, it just happened. You know what I mean? Like we didn't have the opportunity to go, hey, now my choice is I watch this way, and I watch like we didn't have to, it was no like it felt like we didn't have a choice. It just like we just was going. One day you were scrolling, cool, look at the news, cool, go to bed, cool. News, cool, go. Like it was all separate. News on TV, scroll on phone for entertainment, or look at what my family's doing. Boom, go to bed. You know, like that was it was like it was seemingly separate. And then the time I just got more and more filled with commentary, more and more filled with like what people think about things, more and more filled with like reactions, more and more filled with like shaming, more and more like it just got it's just humans constantly posting that all of a sudden it was like actually this is the only place I might need to be looking. And then it became this like, well, I look at streaming sometimes even like my timeline is sometimes more informative than CNN. Like I go look at CNN, I'm like, y'all ain't talking about
yeah,
nothing. But I got
always
NPR telling me this. I got
always more
Wall
informative than
Street Journal
CNN.
telling me this. I got these like so then I'm like, well, what am I looking at y'all for? Y'all talking about the same thing for an entire hour, and then in 2 hours later somebody can come back and talk about the same thing. Versus like NPR just told me this. Watch the Times doing. I mean the New York Times doing think pieces. You know, like I'm looking at all of this. I think my thought now has been like losing words. And I think I feel like a study's gonna come out about this eventually, but the like losing the number of words I have, because I'm a firm believer that like if I go a long time without reading, then I start losing like not context, but I start losing the amount of words I know. I don't know if that sounds weird, but like then I'm like, dang, what was that word that I used to use to refer to, or other words that I might use to refer to bigger things or things in a different way, or then I'm like, dang, I gotta go read a book. Like that's how, I gotta go read a book because how people like again, like I was telling y'all before, when I was doing hip hop journalism, what the way you evolve and the number of ways you can describe something is immense because you're writing articles every week. And so then in writing those articles every week, you can't just say the same thing over and over and over. You got to think about, and that might also be where in fact, I should. That also may be where I'm saying to you content versus context. So when I started this, like, I got to be able to take in what they're doing and I got to say it different, bring it different, make people understand it different. That's probably where that rhythm started for me was probably back then. You mentioned Lent, which makes me think of other things that are happening. Today is the last day of Ramadan. So Ramadan Murabak to everybody out there. Hope you had a fruitful one. Hope it was all that you needed it to be. Um, and I have a deep appreciation for, um,
Ramadan?
yeah, I do. I do have a
Why
deep
is that?
appreciation, just because I think that, to your point around, like, I'm gonna give this up for Lent. Especially like if you ever been like in a Muslim country during Ramadan,
You
the way
have you
that, uh-huh, the way
when?
that life shifts itself. Child, I
Mm.
can't. I haven't been to so many countries. I don't. I can't tell you what, but I have been during Ramadan. But I wasn't there for Ramadan. I was there for something else. It just so
Oh,
happened that I was there during Ramadan.
okay.
The way that the whole country shifts, I have a
Uh,
deep appreciation for it. Right? Like it's we're all knowing. Matter of fact, Morocco was one of them. So the way the whole country shifts, is, I'm like, wow, like this is things that in my little American self, and I'll say that little American self because I'm in a whole when I'm in another country, that's like, is how I view it. When my little American self is like, oh yeah, let's blah blah blah, or like, oh yeah, I'm about to go eat the da da da. It's like, nah, actually, that's not happening. That's not happening for any of us, and therefore not happening for you either, right? Like, I really appreciate it. I really appreciated that because when we're over here, it's kind of like, okay, that's something that somebody else is doing, is their own like religious preference. But like when you're in the country that like it's a Muslim country, you just realize, oh wow, even countries that don't eat pork and you go to McDonald's, or don't eat beef. It's not religious, but they might not eat beef. Well, it is in a way. They might not eat beef in that country. So everything's chicken at the McDonald's. It just gives you a different like perspective of like, oh, this is a belief versus like a control in a sense. I mean, but I'm just saying that like the idea that like, oh no, this whole country believes that the cow is sacred. Therefore, we'll still have a McDonald's, but it's gonna be chicken. You know what I'm saying? Like, and your Big Mac or whatever is all chicken patties. It's like I
the one
rock with
thing
that.
I like that you submitted to the country. And by submitted, I mean like I'm gonna come here and really experience what they do and how they do it. I think a lot of people don't. A lot of Americans, we can, at least the rhetoric is that we can be so self-centered and like, well, this is why I wouldn't want to live here. It's not enough choice. And it's like, okay. The same reason why like somebody might come from New York and go to Arkansas, like, man, there's nothing open at 3 in the morning. It's like, because it's not New York, bro. It's Arkansas. Live the way they live. Like people live differently. Like experience and submit kind of, and not submit like, oh, their way is greater. It's just I'm glad that you're open to it and see it. I wish there was some kind of grant that everybody could take, not one but two international trips. And you
Mm,
have like one when they're young and one as an adult. And not a just vacation. Cause like, yeah, okay, we'll all go to the Bahamas or we'll all go to go to something there. But even that is eye opening. The Bahamas, Jamaica, and stuff like that. But I really do wish people all had an opportunity to expand their horizons, because even if you do go to the Bahamas or the Dominican Republic, Jamaica, and understanding how people live, what resources really are and are not, I think it's the appreciation for America. I think it is the appreciation for, even in our worst areas, like how much better not just how much better we're doing, but protecting the freedoms we do have is important, but also understanding there's a way of life that you go other places, you go to Asia and stuff like that. Why are people living so much longer? Well, their food standards are higher
yeah,
and things of that nature. And so it's like, can I go here and learn some real perspective and come back and bring it here? But
yeah, yeah. No, 100%. It's interesting. When I didn't leave, I traveled late in my 30s. I mean, not late in my
that's when
30s,
you
late
started.
out of the country. I didn't leave the country till I was 30. and I've been leaving the country ever since. But yeah, later in life, I didn't grow up with my family had the means to be able to take us out of the country. Like that wasn't a thing, or think about getting a passport or any of that. So that wasn't something that we did. And we, we might have went to a beach, went to like, different parts of the US, but I never had gone out of the country until I was 30. And when I did a immersion program in Costa Rica, and I stayed with a family. Um, and I would say like that was my first entry into. I actually want to find this. I want to find this poem that I wrote about it, but um, I stayed with a family, and it was very eye opening because I wondered a lot of things while I was there. I wondered like, is this what's happening on the side where they have on the side of the town where the tourists are at? Like, are they seeing these same things I'm seeing? But it was wonderful, to be honest. I mean, it was wonderful, and I felt cultural difference in a lot of ways. But I would also say that like right up until my last moment, I want to find this poem that I wrote about it. Right up until my last moment before I left, I felt maybe misunderstood in a certain way until that last moment, and I was like, ugh, this is when we are so much alike. And I was like, I think from that point on, I always make it a point to go see the real side of town. So like, if I go, and if I am staying on like a resort or whatever, I always try to go off the resort to go to like the real sides of town, and see like what's happening. And then I've been blessed to work with Google, and so in that sense, like I've been to Google off the good. Here's the thing about some companies like that is that you pretty much can find a home in almost any country, right? So like because there's that office is there, they're gonna have a chef, they're gonna have like a place for sleep, they're gonna have sometimes they have gyms, they have spot, like it really depends. So there's a lot of things that are added to those offices where I got a home. Like if you're in that loop or you're in that circle, you have a badge that's global, you can get into any one of those offices. And I think that when I experienced that, it was later. But I'm just saying that like I went wow, like I didn't know that this was the way things could be. Google opened my mind to a lot, honestly, working there, because it was the first time I worked somewhere where it was like, we take care of you, you'll take care of the work.
Mhm.
And I was like, that's dope. Like
We
it was dope. Hmm?
we take care of you. You take care of the work.
Yeah. Now things have shifted since the pandemic, but like in terms of like, I still think that's probably a philosophy. That's not in their core values. That's just how it feels. Like I don't think they put it in their core values, so let me not say that. But it's just how it feels. Like you have a chef, you have a place to go to, you have a place to nap, you have treadmills with computer, where you can put your computer on them. You have, it's like it's colorful, it's loungy, you can, and like the people in the office decide what they want to eat. So like, or what they want in a snack. Like the snack kitchen is crazy. You know what I mean? Like it's wild. But the people in the office decide you could like pretty much vote on like what snacks you want, and it could be anything. So like I think it's super dope in that way. But anyway, working with them, I had my badge could get me into any office. And so I went to the one in Turkey, I went to the one in Korea, I went to the one
Oh wow.
in India. I went to and a bunch of them around the U.S. too. But it is really interesting that way. So I always try to make sure I go off the beaten path and go like look at like what's happening in real life in the country that I'm
Mhm.
in. But it started with this trip to Costa Rica. I'm gonna read this poem. Day 0. I greeted my new family at the table. My narrow North Carolina mind thought the perfect bucket list exhibitionist way to turn 30 was to immerse myself into a Costa Rican family. It's so U.S. citizen of me to view other cute cultures as cute, explorable, and a vacation. My ego didn't just want to be a tourist. I wanted 7 days of Hispanic lifestyle. Favor de no botar papel en el inodoro. Us el besadero. A bathroom sign. Please do not throw paper in the toilet. Use the trash can. And for the first few days, I sat uncomfortably on the toilet thinking, I wonder if this applies to the tourist side of town. I was a constant disappointment to Maria, a 5 foot tall mother of four who rose with the sun to cook rice and beans, toss plantains on a heavy skillet, chop mango and melon, squeeze papaya juice for the entire family. Day one, I arrive at a plate of food with half an appetite. I'm full, I whisper in English. Maria snarled monstrously. Later that day, I learned that it was rude not to eat all of your food. Day three, I was late catching the bus home. A woman shouldn't walk alone at night. Maria's son, Garrison, had to come and get me. I was late for dinner. Maria snarled monstrously. Day four, I ate all of my breakfast. I had learned Spanish words. I learned the bus system. I made it home in time for dinner, but I got a tattoo in celebration of my birthday. Maria snarled monstrously. Day five, by now I had gotten used to throwing my toilet paper in the trash. I made new friends. I could speak a little bit more Spanish, but Maria thinks I'm a fool, a silly Black American for sliding from a mountaintop to Death Wish. But I'd always wanted a zip line. Maria snarls monstrously. Day six, I was convinced I was the worst adaptation of a Hispanic girl ever. Day seven, the last day of my Costa Rican life, and in the midst of eating all of my breakfast and speaking all the Spanish words I knew, Maria had to ask, ¿Tienes hijos? Sí, dos hijos, 2 children. Then she asked, ¿Tienes esposo? After day six of her snarling, I wanted to be less of a disappointment. Maybe lying in Spanish isn't as innocent as a white lie, but fuck it. I'm not from around here. No, I don't have a husband, I said confidently. Good for you, she smiled. In shock, I realized no one in the US had ever shown appreciation for me being a single parent. This smile was one for the mothers, one for the ones who, regardless of the monstrous snarls of life, wake up to feed their kids, mend fresh scars, and squeeze the organic love juice out of them. Maria's head nod was encouragement for the statistically handcuffed, one for the people like her who understood some part of the people like me, and on this common ground we embraced. She welcomed me back anytime. I had come for exploration, for culture, for a cute vacation. I left with the epiphany that not every country translates bathroom signs into English and Spanish. That American life is just life. That there are other lives being lived, and that while adventure or knowledge separates us, the perception of our differences just somehow makes us more alike. And it was
Called Maria Snarls monstrously or monstrous.
no, it's not called Maria Snarls Monstrously. It's called Costa Rica Realization.
Costa Rica, she said Tienes esposo. You having children was a way for you to connect. I learned. So you zip line. Did you zip line over one of the volcano forest things?
I did. I
I did.
don't know if it was a volcano over where I was ziplining, so I didn't like look down to see a volcano. That didn't
No,
happen.
not in the volcano. Like at the. Why am I blanking on the name of the
But
city?
yes to. So first of all, this is where I said, stop comparing everybody out there. I'm coming up, y'all. On the rough side of the map. First of all, stop comparing your life to climbing a mountain because your life is not that hard. Okay, that would never do that again. Please do not do that. The church they got me. That was my first time climbing a mountain, and I said, y'all are tripping. My life is a lot easier in all the hardships I've had than climbing that mountain. Okay, shout out to people who climb Mount Kilimanjaro and all those kind of places. Good for y'all. My homegirl did
I
that.
didn't think that's where you were going with that.
No, I had to climb a mountain to zip line.
Me too. And my mother and her best friend. We were in Costa Rica for my cousin's wedding, and it ended up being my mom and my mom and my aunt Sheila and me. And I love adventure, and I gassed my mom up to do it. And my mom and Sheila were overweight. They weren't super duper overweight, but they were overweight, and they were able to still Did you walk through trails? You didn't just like you weren't like climbing
No,
like
I will no
scaling.
this no I, what not like scaling, and but it wasn't a trail either. So this
You're
wasn't
like
a like carved out path. No, it wasn't a trail. We're on the side of the mountain, bro. And I'm seeing bugs, and I'm not a bug person. I'm not an outdoor person.
I know
But
you get scared of them spiders in the corner
and
downstairs.
my friend, I need to call him because he didn't come over yet. So I've not gotten downstairs to open up my content room because I'm sure there's spiders in there, and I have not. I will not be going in there until somebody goes with me. But the point
I'm gonna
is,
I'm gonna come out to LA and come with you.
okay, you should do that because I will not be going in there until then. And it's all set up all nice, you know what I mean? Like I could probably have some plants in there, stuff like that. But like, yeah, bro, it's not happening. So I somebody, even if I have to call the maintenance man and be like, hey, can you go with me in here real quick and help me? Because I don't know what's in there. Um, so what I realized, like I was seeing bugs that I did not recognize. Bugs that did not look familiar to me. And
That
they're like,
that's
come
a
on, to get
rainforest.
the dude who's
That's like
leading
a
like,
rainforest or a
yeah, no,
rainforest.
yeah, kinda. Yeah. Now in Puerto Rico, I did the rainforest where you hike to the waterfall. Have
Uh-huh.
you done that?
I have
It was
not
really
done
cool.
waterfall hike in Puerto Rico. I've done
Yeah, they
water.
have a whole little they have where you can go to the rainforest, and then they have a guided people like take you. I guess you can walk on your own, but they have people that can take you up. I was in Puerto Rico with the Fun 2 Foundation. Shout out to them. They Robert Smith's aunt. She was running. I don't know if she's still running, but she was running it, and they focus on like maternal health. And we went out there they had a conference out there, and it was great. We went to the rainforest and we hiked. I don't think I'm a hiker. You know what I mean? I don't think
Uh,
it's my thing, bro.
it's my thing.
I don't think it's my thing.
I enjoy good nature. I enjoy you know what the number one thing I love about hiking? It's just different type of air.
It's true.
Like when you're in the midst of even if it's not in a even if it's like a desert hike and it's not you're not in a forest or something, it's still the air feels different. But I enjoy a good hike, walk. I don't now I'm not a solo hiker. I mean, I like to appreciate it, but to me, hiking is one of the best dates or best like bonding.
Oh, but have you seen the what are they calling them? There's these dates where what is it called? What is it called? Where they're hold on, where they're going on hiking dates. Hold on a second. And then they leave the people in the outside.
They leave them there.
Mm-hmm. It's called what is it called? Dang, what is it called? Alpine divorce. It's called an Alpine divorce. These dudes are setting up hiking dates, and then they go hiking with the woman all the way out into somewhere where like they know she doesn't know where it is or whatever, and they start just like distancing themselves, or they'll be like, wait right here, I'm gonna be back or something, and they'll just leave her. It's called an Alpine
This in the
divorce.
U.S.
Hmm.
Is this to get them kidnapped?
That's what I would think, but it doesn't sound like they're getting kidnapped from the stories I've heard.
They're just like, do you know you don't if you're married, you don't that just doesn't equate to a divorce.
They're not married. This is just, as far as I know, the people are not married. It looks like they're just dating.
And
When a
the way
person,
I'm gonna
often a
break up
woman,
with
is
you is
abandoned by a date on a remote outdoor setting, such as a hiking trail, a camping trip, it's called an Alpine divorce.
that's so stupid.
That is
It's like
crazy. And one is
why
crazy.
it's not even that it's crazy. And it is the premise to a horror movie, but or a thriller. But why did you even need to go to the thing to begin with if we weren't gonna talk? You know what I mean?
I don't
If
know.
my
Maybe
goal was
people,
to not talk to you anymore, why would I take you somewhere to not talk to you? That doesn't make any sense.
and I don't know if it's like intentional. I don't know. I'm guessing some of them, based on the stories I've seen, some of it is intentional. But then I'm also wondering if they just got tired. And they just got it. They got tied up. They was like, "Oh, I
In real
think I
time.
like you."
In real time. They
In
just
real
got
time, like, "Oh, I think I like you." Then they got out to the middle of the forest and was like, "Actually, I don't like you." You know what I mean? They just peace. Hey, stay right here, right quick. Hey, I'm gonna go see something. I need to see
that
something.
still feels like and then the fact that it's only because this happens a lot, and sometimes you've like talking to you these last few months has brought various of these terminologies in like I said, our timelines are different, but various these various things to me. Is that an example of a few stories that were aggregated, or like a few examples aggregated, put into a story, and then let's call it something? Because that still feels excessive to like it has its own terminology. Like it's like
So I
I
don't know. I mean, I think
outline
that so typically what's happening on my timeline, to your point. So I'm watching a broad array of things, and then friends send me things that are interesting to them. Another thing that happens is like I typically stories like that. I typically see it when it lands on a think piece on NPR or a New York Times or something like that. That's typically when I see them because it was a trend on TikTok. I didn't see it while it was trending on TikTok. I
hold on.
didn't.
Oh, people were like intentionally doing this.
No,
To,
this was actually a whole thing. Yeah, like this is this year though. I don't think it was past years, but it was trending on TikTok recently. And but I typically caption it when somebody who is a more solid news source is catching it, or for the most part, like I'll see these think pieces. There's also a couple like women forward things that I follow that typically will pick up trends, and I'll read those. I didn't catch the trend while it was trending, so but yeah, I saw this and I was like, that is crazy. And then there's a couple commentary folks that I watch. Like I'm definitely like Brian Baez. I'm always watching him, and what he's bringing. And then when it comes to social, I always watch a couple different people too. Um, and some of these people I can't name, but I know that I can see their face and be like, oh yeah, but like I can't name them. Yeah, but yeah, crazy. I don't know. It has a name. If you Google it, Alpine divorce is what people are calling it, and it is when a woman is taken on a remote hiking trip and then essentially broken up with. Now, I don't think they or left in the middle of nowhere. And I don't know that it's a full conversation because again, I didn't catch it while it was full trending. I caught it when it was it surfaced to be another story. Speaking of things surfacing to be another story, did you see the Afro Man trial?
oh, I saw pictures. I didn't watch. I just didn't like. I didn't watch it, but I saw he looked ridiculous. But
See, this is why it can't be dismissed in news, bro. Because that actually was in a couple different ways super powerful. And I think that so what happened was these police officers raided his house saying that he looking for kidnapping and drugs, right? They raid his house. He catches it on camera. So for those who didn't see the Afro Man trial, this is what happened. He catches it on camera, and the whole thing, they didn't find anything. They found $4,000. When he went to go pick up the $4,000, $400 of the $4,000 was missing. And they was like, oh, it was all there when we got it. Right? So he's pissed. He writes like 3 songs about it. Puts it out. This I'm like, come on, bro. You have a politician. You gotta know this. He puts out 3 songs about it. One of the songs is called Lemon Pound Cake. Goes viral. It's about the sheriff because in oh, by the way, the police officers also disconnected his security cameras, right, while they're in the house. So in one of the pieces of footage, the security the police officer, and I'm talking about when they raid, they had AR-15s and everything. You know what I'm saying? Had his kids, had guns on his kids and all that. So he's looking at the security camera footage, and one of the sheriff was with him. The sheriff like looks at the pound cake. He has a pound cake sitting on the counter. The sheriff walks by the pound cake and like looks at the pound cake, does like a double take at the pound cake. And so he's in one video when he first started putting the videos out, he's like, look at him. He wants some of that pound cake, don't he? Right? Like he's doing that. Then he wrote a whole song called Lemon Pound Cake, bro. And then after he wrote the song called Lemon Pound Cake, the joint started going back. The joint is actually a little bit of a bop, I ain't gonna lie. But it's funny because it's Afro Man. You know what I mean? Like, we don't expect him to have real raps or real songs for real. But then everybody in the town starts sending pound cake to the sheriff. So the sheriff is getting hundreds of pound cake. He had this other one of the other officers that was with them, this a woman officer. He called her Lick 'em Low Lisa, and he wrote a whole song called Lick 'em Low Lisa. And so the police officer sued him. So this is the trial. The trial is the police officer suing him.
No, I
And
know.
when I say he had the best clap back to his when he was on the stand was dope. I was empowered by watching it because they was like, oh, well, don't you see how it caused them distress? He like, don't you see how they caused me distress? They should have been in my house. He like, they had no reason to be in my house. They found
Oh, snap.
nothing. They kept my gate open, got guns on my kids. They caused me distress, but I guess I'm not a person. So the video of him on the stand, I was like, go black man. So like, it's good. It's bad that this happened. Let me say that. It's bad that this happened to him. And bad that it's also impacting the kids of these police officers, right? Like this police officers, their behavior, excuse me, I can't even get it out. Their actions is what I'm trying to say. Their actions are impacting their children. So now one of the police officers, I think their daughter looks biracial or something. So like then the police officer on the stand, he's like, because apparently my wife is having sex with Afro Man, right? Like, I don't know if I couldn't verify whether or not that's real or not. But the kids at school are being like, is Afro Man your daddy? To the little girl. Like, it's a bit wild. But now he's starting to do a round of interviews. So like now that it's done, I think he won the case yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. I think he won. But now he's doing a round of interviews. So now he's talking about it. Like so you probably see him pop up more, but like now he's doing interviews about it because he's like, yo, this is crazy. They kicked in my door, raided my house. I do what I do. Basically I'm a creative. I write songs. Wrote a song about it.
I'm watching it while you're telling me this.
Whole concerts of people singing Lemon Pound Cake.
Yes, his video is like him holding his little lemon pound cake. I missed all of this. This happened in 22. What is this? Came out in 22, 3 years ago. I missed all of
The
this.
songs, but the case has been trial in the last couple of days. So like, yeah, I'm like that.
First of all, Afro Man, this is how you know you got you a viral hit. Afro Man is what, 51 years old, big black guy, Afro, still Afro. That's smart. He stays on brand. And even in that lemon pound cake, like that video is him rapping into other people and stuff. These young white kids, these like
eating it
because people love that. I mean, that just shows you because it's all off of Because I Got High.
Oh yeah,
people love him. That song. People love him.
People love him. Yeah. No, he has a following, bro. You know what I mean? And like he's so unserious. Like, but when he was on the stand, I was like, hell yeah, because he's right. This is their fault. You know what I'm saying? Like y'all shouldn't mess with me. You poked the bear. Now here we are. Whatever you thought I was doing, I wasn't doing. Now you want me to care more about their feelings than other people's. And something this one girl said, I was like, oh, that's actually kind of interesting. She said, actually, if y'all think about it, the town must not be happy with that police office, like those officers or the sheriff, because the town is coming for them too. Like the town is taking this as an opportunity to do, like the town is sending them pound cakes to the sheriff's office. And like the Lick 'em Low Lisa or the dude who his wife, they think his wife may be cheating.
You saying that, it just sounds hilarious. Lick 'em Low Lisa.
he like people walking up to him playing a song. Like on the street, people walking up to just play the song. Yo, that's crazy. And like, of course, everybody's joking on the sheriff calling them lemon pound cake. Yo, crazy. I'm sure other officers and got in on it. Crazy. I'm just like I'm saying, shout out to Afro Man. And let me verify before I give the wrong news. I think he won a case yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, Afro Man wins his legal battle with the Ohio police March 18, 2026. Crazy. So shout out to him for doing it.
What else is in my news?
Simone, I see. We have our guest. We had a guest earlier, but they didn't come. That's another thing. Like people might
Oh,
have
okay.
blocked.
I just thought we had no guests.
No, we have a guest. And I hate when people do that. Like, don't if you block the time, you block the time for somebody else. Like my homegirl yesterday, she was like, dang, all the times are blocked. And I was like, okay, but it's like people block the time and then they didn't come. Like, why would you even do that? It's so selfish.
Can you, before I forget this, I know it's on there. Can you make sure I've been trying to find the email because I'm trying to get Michael Leach on. I could not find the email with the times available, but I want to get
There's no
him.
times available. So you just have to just set up a time for him.
All right, we'll do.
Yeah, just pick a day and set up a time.
For sure.
Because there's no like, if you click the link, you're not gonna see any available times. But that's because people took up the time, and then some people didn't come. You know what I mean? So I'm like, that's crazy. All right, we're gonna come to the stage, our guest for today, and now Simone gets all the spotlight because she's our only guest for today.
Hey, Simone.
All right. Hello.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate this opportunity.
Oh yeah, I'm interested to see what you got going on. What's your thing?
Well, my thing is that it's Brain Injury Awareness Month. And yeah, a lot of people don't know that about March. But it is. And I am a traumatic brain injury survivor myself.
Oh,
And I wanted to come on here and talk about the fact that a lot of people don't realize that 1 in 4 people that have had at some point in time in their life a brain injury, whether it was a concussion from like a fall or being involved in sports or something that happened with work or serving in the military. They're a lot more common than people realize. And usually it's just told, oh, you just have a mild concussion, no problems. You'll be fine. Get some rest, avoid loud noises and lights for a while, and you'll be okay. That
Can
was
you
what
tell
I was.
us are you okay? I mean, you can tell me if this makes sense, but can you tell us your story?
Sure. So my brain injury happened from a car accident 11 years ago. I was driving to go pick up some food for my folks from their favorite restaurant in college while I was visiting my grandparents. And an inexperienced driver thought she could turn left at the intersection before I made it. Unfortunately, she was wrong. And she hit me inches in front of the driver's side door and then knocked me into an SUV that was waiting to my right. I was sore, banged up, had a really bad headache. I was taken to the emergency room, told I had a concussion, given muscle relaxers, and told to just rest for a while. And I didn't know the severity of my brain injury at the time because I was dealing with the other injuries from the car accident. I ended up having 18 surgeries in under 4 years. So I was just more focused on those and healing from those. And had issues with my balance, but didn't really think much of it. I thought it was because maybe some of my muscles were still weak recovering. It was 2 years after my accident before I saw a neurologist who said, you need to go to a concussion clinic. And after that, I got vestibular therapy to help me with my balance, cognitive behavioral therapy to help my brain start to heal and rewire because my memory wasn't the only issue that I had. I have light sensitivity and sound sensitivity, but I didn't know that it was because of the concussion that I sustained during the accident. My memory has gotten a lot better. It used to be so bad that I had to carry a notepad with me so I'd remember why I got up off the couch 5 steps into wherever I was going, because I would just forget that fast. So I've come a long way, got all those injuries healed, and then I was dealing with all of the brain injury things, the issues with time management, not being aware of how much time has passed. Still have
Mm.
that sometimes. Um, the light and sound sensitivity kept me pretty much as a shut-in for a long time. I couldn't go places, unable to work, because you never know when there are going to be loud noises in an office. Even just multiple conversations going on at once can be overwhelming for my brain, and it causes it to just kind of shut down. So that is why I decided to, along with some friends and family, start Live Uniquely Brain Injury Survivors Alliance to
Mm.
educate people on the resources that are out there to help heal after a brain injury, whether it is short term impacts that you have or longer ones. Getting the right type of therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, and vestibular therapy, even seeing a neuro ophthalmologist, because it can be your eyes that are impacting things as well, all help make a difference with how well someone is able to heal and how quickly it can happen.
What's your live uniquely? Said it one time. You live
Live
uniquely.
Uniquely Brain Injury Survivors Alliance. So our website is lubisa, lubisa.org. And our goal is to raise awareness. So we are a liaison between doctors' offices and survivors. It's a peer-to-peer organization. So
Hmm.
we let them know about great organizations like Anderson Music Therapy that has cognitive behavioral therapy,
Mm.
Moving Mountains that connects brain injury survivors with resources, and also if people need equipment or things like that that they can't afford, they raise funds to help them be able to get that.
That's
There's
Mm.
also brain injury services and so many others.
Simone. Thank you for sharing your story. I mean, I know that is it's
You're
very
welcome.
personal, and hopefully it gives not just you but others courage. My question, now that you had to have a dramatic brain experience and almost, I guess, be misdiagnosed or not properly diagnosed and properly treated for so long for you to seek the help you needed. I think there is so many people. I know there's so many people who don't, maybe not even know to advocate for themselves in
Yes.
various injuries. Obviously, like you went through thank God you lived through the accident. Sounds like a really horrific accident. But I know brain injuries. I'm more specific. I'm thinking about my sister who had to have brain surgery and spinal surgery in less than 14, 15 months
Oh, wow.
in the same year. But it was something. It wasn't necessarily an injury, but injuries happen because of that. But so I
Mhm.
just delved in a little deeper. But
Yes.
the brain injury, like what questions should people be asking, or
Mm.
what things should they be aware of if they've had an injury? Because when you go through something as traumatic as a car accident
Hmm.
or something like very extreme, all
Hmm.
right, I might need to check for concussion. I might need to check for something. But people fall all the time.
Yes.
People do may hurt themselves in something they may not see as traumatic,
Hmm.
could still have caused brain injury trauma. So
Absolutely.
what questions should they be asking their doctors to make sure they're properly diagnosed and can advocate for themselves?
And that's a really good point. Is unfortunately, people have to advocate for themselves because physicians are not always aware of what a brain injury looks like. They're as unique as our fingerprints, and they can
Mm.
come from medical events. So if you notice you're having more difficulty processing things or trying to remember things, or something as simple as trying to use a combination lock, you know the combination, but you can't remember how to use the lock. Just those 3 simple steps. If it's stuff like that, that you're like, I do this all the time, why can't I do it right now? Those can be signs, if you've had a medical event or a fall or something, that you should look and try to find a neurologist and do the research on them, check health grades and US News World Reports, see what the reviews are, make sure you find someone who people said they actually listened to me, and reach out
Mm.
to organizations like Brain Injury Association of America. They have chapters in every state. And then, of course, Live Uniquely, Brain Injury Survivors Alliance will also help with connecting people with resources.
Thank you for sharing your story. And I'm sorry that you had to go through that.
Thank
Um,
you.
how is it? Is it life? It's for life. So, like, is it you're
It
still
is.
having to work through that now
I am.
after?
A brain injury is a chronic condition, and that's something that most people don't realize. You have not just good days and bad days, but good moments and bad moments. You can be having a great day, and then you're in an environment where all of a sudden there's a loud noise that's unexpected, or you open up the lights in the refrigerator and it feels like somebody turned the brights on in your refrigerator. And it's that light sensitivity and that sound sensitivity that are kicking in. And if it gets past the tipping point for what your brain can handle that day, then your body just has to stop. Your brain just is like, okay, I've had enough. And you have to learn to be flexible and give yourself grace.
Yeah. What are you doing any nervous system regulation things like sound and breath work and things like that?
Yes, that is something that I discovered after my brain injury. I've not tried a sound bath yet. I'm not
Because the
sure.
sounds might not work as well.
Right. I'm not sure how my brain would tolerate that, but I am very curious about that. I might give it a shot one day, but definitely into different nervous system regulation, uh, the tapping for,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, the vagus nerve has been very helpful. I've tried the cryotherapy vagus nerve stimulation. That has been really good too.
What about plant medicine? Have you ever thought about, and I mean, like, this is, I don't know, where, how you live your life. So this may be far out in me saying this, but there's a lot of research around psychedelics and and how it helps you repair or heal or
Hmm.
move. And have you ever tried any of that? And not so much. And so when I say plant medicine, I want to make sure I make this clear to everybody. When I'm saying that, do it how you want to do it, but I'm not necessarily talking about recreational. So
Hmm.
I'm more talking about ceremonially or definitely even under the care of a doctor in a way that is monitoring and things like that. So I just wanted to make that clear that I'm not
Hmm.
necessarily talking about what you do. Yeah, everybody do what you do, and I'm here for it. All lives being lived. But I'm more asking for this particular thing. Have you considered it, or is it something that you're in the orbit of
Hmm.
with your organization at all?
I have heard of it. I personally have not tried it because I have a number of sensitivities and allergies. So I have to be very careful with things. But I do know some folks who they've tried that and it's beneficial for them. So it
Yeah,
is definitely something that people can look into.
for sure, for sure. Um, every March, the Brain Injury Association of America leads the nation in observing Brain Injury Awareness Month. That their website is claiming this year they have exciting new developments for the brain injury community, including new advocacy initiatives, events, fundraising opportunities, and more. Also check out lubisa.org, Live Uniquely Brain Injury Survivor Alliance. I'm so glad that you came. I really think that like this level of awareness we need to platform it, and more people need to know about their options, especially from like concussions, like you mentioned. People have had strokes and they're trying to recover, like things like that, and trying to figure out like how to live their lives now. And I think that I haven't heard of people that I know that have had a stroke before knowing where to go to get support, or people who have even people who have epilepsy that may have been caused by a brain injury at some point in their life kind
Yes.
of just end up on this rhythm of what are the medications, let me just take my medicine and try to manage my life individually. So I love that there is the awareness that there is an organization focused on this, for you to tap into.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
yeah, for sure. What kind of things do you have, anything coming up or
Any
that people could,
fundraisers or projects or anything?
yeah, or
Yes.
events?
So one of the things that I started doing as a therapeutic tool was designing jewelry. And
Mm.
so I sell the jewelry that I make. Some pieces are posted. There are a lot more that have to be posted on the website, but that's one of the ways that we raise money. I do also make custom pieces. So if someone has an event that they want a necklace or earrings designed for, I do that as well. Um, and we accept donations. That's one of the things that helps us. We are looking to launch the brain injury identification card program. I found out about it from
Mm.
one of the organizations in Wisconsin, and it's great because it has the individual's picture and just a simple sentence saying, I'm a brain injury survivor in crisis. Please help me by contacting my emergency contact. And that person's phone number and name are on there. It is something that is verified by the physician. So they send it off to their doctor just saying, yes, this person has a brain injury. That way we have something on record if for some reason they ever need that. They can present it to first responders if they happen to be, let's say, pulled over because they're in crisis and they might be driving erratically. A lot
Mm.
of the behaviors of someone who's intoxicated are similar to someone who is in crisis with a brain injury. So, slurred speech or speech delay, having issues with balance. There are some people who, when they're in crisis, they get very irritable and very angry, and they may not be able to communicate in that moment that they're a brain injury survivor, and they might be treated as somebody who's intoxicated, which is more
Mm.
stressful for the brain and elevates or can elevate the behaviors that that person is experiencing in the moment. And it can just make a bad situation worse really quickly. So, we would like to be able to get those out to people who are interested in having that.
Wow. That's awesome. So go to labisa.org. You can buy some jewelry or you can just donate. This jewelry is nice too. So
Thank you.
you should go there. The ways to support. Also, if you know anyone that may have experienced a brain injury, or if you have, definitely go to labisa.org. Check it out. There are resources for you. There's a whole community for you. Yeah, I thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it. How
You're
did you hear?
welcome.
How did you hear about the 30 Day Show?
Well, I am part of the Black Girl Ventures tribe. So
Okay, okay,
I
cool,
saw
cool,
the
cool.
email
Okay,
and
cool.
I was like, oh, yes, definitely. And I've been to one of your events that you had when you had folks at the Sirius taping that
Oh
you
yeah,
did
yeah,
last
yeah.
year. I was
Okay.
there for that.
Oh, cool, cool. Okay, good. Well, good to see you again.
Thank you. Good to see you as well.
Thank you for
All
sharing your
right.
story. It really, like I said, this type of platforming this cause was important, and I appreciate it,
Well,
and I
thank
learned
you.
so much. I was actually googling a couple things as we were talking as well. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you both again. I really appreciate you.
All right. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. You too. Bye.
Yeah, I Wow, I love that.
I really appreciate people who can take their trauma and turn it into not just teaching but platforms and opportunities. Because I've been in several car accidents, not that I've caused, and I don't imagine something that traumatic. Not only having to relive it, but that's like becomes the platform you work from, and it just it takes a lot out of it takes a lot out of someone, but it also I think empowers so many others because that traumatic brain injury, like the concussions, like they can have so many long lasting effects that you just do not realize. You just do not.
100%.
And
And
there's
it's,
like, oh, it's just I'm a little ringing and I'm gonna move on. Nah, bro. Nah, bro.
yeah, this was challenging about like football and boxing and like things like that is like is yeah, these are people's lives that will be impact that will be way beyond the years that they play the game. And so yeah, it's very, very, very important. So I'm so glad she came because I I'm also into like discovering what else people should know. I think, you know, it's interesting. There's people who go who say I'm never gonna let anybody else experience what I experience, or like I know I'm having this experience, and so other people should. So I know they're building this thing, but I feel like a lot of things in business are that way at different levels. So I agree with you. Like when it comes to like a traumatic event and then people like decide to like turn it into something, it's like wow. Like how do you even have the capacity for that? You know, how do you have the capacity to? It's that. So I agree. I'm like in awe of people who have the capacity, but then I go like, do thinking about your why. Why did you start what you start? Right? Why did you become a digital director?
Oh, you mean me? I thought you were
Well,
saying
I was saying generally, but now I am asking you why.
opportunity, interest, and ignorance.
Okay.
Opportunity because I'm a non-traditional communication person. Like I went to medical school, I'm med school dropout, successful medical school dropout. And but I loved marketing, but didn't go to school for it. And at those ages, when you're young 20s, early 20s, you think you have to kind of stick to your degree before you have the even understanding of what could be possible. And mind you, this is 2000s before you see a million different options on social media and the internet. So you're forging your way through reading books and articles or just people you meet. So it was the opportunity was I when I did the Obama when I did it went to the and was like a community organizer in Obama and then came into Capitol Hill after about 9 months of doing coffees and applying for internships and stuff. And I broke through. I broke through on a comms team, and the opportunity was this at the Science Committee on Science, Space, and Technology. At the time, they didn't have a Facebook page and they didn't have a Twitter page, and they had just redid their website. And I was like, I'll take on making the Facebook and Twitter page. And immediately that turned me into some
Mm,
digital guru in 2009 for like the people who worked. And then, I mean, I'm messing around and I'm playing around with social media in real time. But in government, I always I said, so the opportunity, the interest, I'm actually interested in marketing and communicating to people and connecting people. And always saw it as online. I didn't see where it was going to this level, but saw it online. So what did I say? Opportunity, interest, and
ignorance.
and ignorance. The ignorance is like, I mean, I didn't know no better. I needed a. I just kept doing a thing, and God kept. I told somebody this a few years ago, and I was like, I just came up with a plan like 2 years ago. I've been riding away. I know that might not sound the greatest to some people, but it's like
No, I mean,
I
at the end of
just
the day, so yeah, I mean, no, I don't think it sounds. I don't think it sounds anyway. I think it sounds honest. I think it sounds authentic, and I think people out there who are building something, growing companies, get that right. So when I started Black Girl Ventures, it was because so when the stat came out that less than 1% of Black women were getting access to venture capital, but we were starting businesses at 6 times the national average. I would say that like at that time, it was probably my recognition that like, oh, I'm not the only one without access to capital. Because prior to that, in building my company I had before BGV, I was just figuring it out. I needed money. I got laid off and I was like, bump that. I'm not going back to work for anybody. I'm gonna start my own thing. So I did a bunch of experiment and a bunch of trying, pivoting, letting things go, starting things. And so I landed on something that actually started working. And my mom gave me $10,000 of her retirement money, and I used my tax returns, my last tax return from the job that I was in, to buy my own machines to do the work that I was doing. And I thought like, oh, like everybody else must have this figured out and I just don't. Yeah, like so it's let me just figure it out. Let me just build my thing. because, clearly people must start businesses with money and I don't have any. So how am I going to get it? So at that point, that startup cost may be somewhere around $13,000 to $15,000 in that sense. I mean, I'd already tried it out enough to know it would work before getting to my mom giving me that 10,000 and me using my tax returns. So let's say it was about 13. I would say probably about 13,000 to buy my machines, do whatever I was going to do with marketing, figure that out from that standpoint. But like back then, that was what I was thinking back then. By the time I got to Black Car Ventures, I started it because I was doing the work and I was lonely doing it. And I was like, I know me coming from being a poet and being on stages and organized community, like I thrive when I'm around people. Somebody else must also be experiencing this. And so again, I'm thinking this can't just be me. So then I start, you know, just kind of tapping into like, would it work? So that first competition that we had in the house in Southeast, I just put up on meetup.com, and the rate at which people were joining the group made me be like, oh, like people need community. So, but again, this is like need by need. It wasn't like, oh, one day it's going to be a national organization that served 50,000 people. Like that was not on my mind. If you had asked me in 2016, did I think I would be on a Nike billboard or commercial or whatever, I would have been like, you're tripping. I have no idea what you're talking about. I would not have, that was not, my vision wasn't that. I didn't have a long term. It's like it went need by need. So even after we started the scale, it was like, ooh, people now need this. Let's do that. But all of it being within my wheelhouse of who I am, of like, again, I feel like my purpose on the planet is to create spaces of self-actualization and belonging. That is who I am. If I'm doing it, whether we on here, if I'm doing it, whether we are we hanging out and we cool, and whether I'm doing it, whether we are, whether I'm building a company doing it. So that was pretty much, I didn't have that articulation back then, but I knew that was a part of like what I was doing. So that was really all I had. I didn't have no grand plan either. And honestly, like I'm still going need by need. So maybe my plan is 2 or 3 years out, or maybe to the end of the year in some years. But yeah, I would say again that starting from, I definitely was starting from that. Hey, people don't need to keep going through this. Let's figure it out. People don't need to keep experiencing this. Like let's put something together so people don't, so we can make shortcuts, or so we can create a way where people can skip steps. So we can create like skip steps that we were never allowed to
That's so
skip.
good that you did that. Like that you had the awareness to do for others in those moments and have that. I think I'm curious. My question to you, because I experienced this. You're in a field that is definitely not traditional to Black folks, but not traditional to a lot of folks. You're in a very venture capital field. I think digital, despite what everybody, the digital engagement, marketing, communication, despite what everybody is telling you, they're a guru online and everybody having social, and it's like, well, we all got a phone, fool. So I guess we all digital strategists. Nah, you're not. But
Right.
but there's something that when did you walk into the power of what it is you're calling yourself? And I'll explain to you. Let me use my example to spark this. I think this is a good way to end the show. I love what you've been saying to me on at camera and after. Like, you just need to be the Homeboys digital director and just be that and own that and live in that. And I'm really not just sitting with that. I'm ideating on that. But I was like, well, when did I even become digital? Because at first I was a just comms director, marketing. And when did I become digital? And I actually didn't really become digital completely until until I got to the White House. Now, that doesn't mean, no, I've been digital, doing a ton of digital stuff before. My first job on Capitol Hill after I got that internship and fellowship and then moved to a full-time role was She was like, I have a staff assistant slot, but I need somebody doing my social media and strategy in there. So I was new media manager that I got to be new media director. That eventually I had 5 different business cards in 2.5 years because I just kept changing the title and I might have got one raise. So I was digital there, even in the Move Makers, which are a promotional company we started 20 years ago. I was online. My first role, I said, I want to be online marketing manager. I've always lived in it, even in digital, doing film and taking pictures, shooting music videos. I've always lived in it, but I didn't, because I even worked with people who were deeper in digital or deeper in social, and I kind of gave it to them. So I was like, well, let me go over here at the AFAM Museum. Let me go over here and be public affairs official. I can work with our social media team, oversee them, or at least work with them and collaborate. I can work with the traditional press team and oversee them. But I'm picking up skills and pushing for that. And our advertising team, I'm working with all of those. But it literally wasn't until I'm on the campaign in 2020. So it's not that long ago when I like, all right, had the epiphany. I'm on the campaign. My title is National Director of African American Paid Media and Advertising. So I'm running his ad campaign, but we're in 2020. So all the money, I end up spending over $80 million in ads. We did through our producer, our production partners, media sponsorships. We did over 150 pieces of ad content, TV, radio, digital, all the data, all that. So I really delivered for the president. And they wanted to, and I'm one of the most senior Black people on the campaign. So they want to give you the opportunity. Do you want to go to the White House? I got called. I was like, yeah. And like, we're doing all the behind the scenes, trying to figure out like in between the White House, in between the campaign and White House. And they're like, well, what, Cameron, your role, we don't have advertising in the White House. You got to pick a lane. Like, what do you want to? And that little period of time was like, shit, I just had one of the most impactful roles on this campaign. And and it's kind of the world is your oyster, but you still got to advocate for it because you can't just say do whatever. You got to be hyper specific. Like this is Game of Thrones, House of Cards type shit behind the scenes. And I was like, well, I guess I need to be on the digital team. And that spark and that thing evolved into, once I was there, is like, oh, I need to fucking own this. Because it's not that I'm not like stepping into something that's not real to me. I'd worked at agencies, but I was on the comms team, not the digital team in my agency. But we have we're integrated communication shop of 50 people. So you're doing all the stuff. So it's like I had 10, 12, 13 years experience even before then. But it was the moment when I was forced to make a choice to tell somebody else how to advocate for me, that I was like, I need to be this. You've done so much, like you said, you shifted into something, created a community, created a platform, created opportunities for others. But when did you own it to say, oh, I understand and I'm a financial and venture funding, not even just expert, but this is not even this is your only lane, but this is the lane that I own and I can advocate for myself as this, I can stand tall on that. When was that moment in your career?
So I don't know what year this was, maybe 2007, I guess. I published a book that I never talk about, by the way, but it's called All Women Are Stupid Sometimes. And it was off the back of a terrible breakup. Like the person I thought I was going to marry. And just at that time, like straight out of college, like met in college, that I was going to marry this person. It's just a super dramatic story. And so I leave North Carolina, I moved to the DMV, and I wrote a book about it. And it's not, it's a fictional book. So anything in there even remotely similar to real life situations is not true. Okay. But it is, so I wrote the book, and I remember my grandma was so proud of me. Right. And so I sent her a book. So my uncle owns an auto shop. And so on a main street on Felver Street, same street the NCCU was on. And so right up the street from it. And so, I would send her books and she would like sell them for me. Like she would just sit at the shop, be like, my granddaughter bought a book. You need to buy this book. Go ahead, get your money out, get this book, right? And so there's this bookstore in historic bookstore in Durham. It's not there anymore, but it's called the No Bookstore. And have been there forever since I was growing up. I think during the pandemic is when it finally closed, and it's sad to see it go because it was such a staple. And my grandma, I'm like, dang, you know what? I want to get my book into the store, just stores. And she was like, go around there to the No Bookstore, tell the dude who owned the store, to the store, tell him that Wilhelmina is your grandma and you need to get your book into the store. And I'm like, Grandma, you don't work like that. She's like, what I tell you to do? To go around there, take that book, and tell him your grandma is Wilhelmina and you want to get your book into the store. I said, okay. So I go around there. And this man is intimidating. This is like super black power guy. I think you might be Muslim. Bookstore owner, seen a lot of come, seen a lot of go, been around for years, okay? Civil rights, all that, you know what I'm saying? So I go into the store and I act like I'm browsing. And I'm like, And so he's like, hey, how you doing? Like, how you doing? Whatever. So I'm like, I can't just go tell this man that Wilhelmina is my grandma and I need to get into the bookstore, right? So I'm like, like that's crazy. How can she say that? So, long story short, I'm browsing around, acting like I'm looking, and then so I'm like, hey, I have my book in my hand. I'm like, hey, how you doing? I was thinking, I want to get my book into the store. So he started asking me business questions. Okay, well, have you got your book in any more stores? No. Okay, well, how long did it? How many have you sold? Yada yada. So I'm doing a dance, and I got up the courage to say, my grandma is Wilhelmina. She told me. He said, your grandma's Wilhelmina. Oh, child, you should have said that. Okay, well, go ahead, give me that book. And that is how I got my first book into the bookstore. And what I realized in that moment was that is the most powerful thing that you could be. My grandma dropped out of school in like the 9th grade. I don't even think she didn't finish high school. She had 2 or 3 kids, or she had 10 kids total. But I think she had a first kid when she was like 14, 15. Second kid before would have been 18, I think. And those numbers might be slightly off, but young, never graduated from high school. And I just remember thinking like, wow, right? And my grandma was the kind of person that like anybody, you need to eat, come on in. You need to like the Southern grandma went to her house every Sunday for Sunday dinner, like that. Like we did that whole thing. And I just remember the feeling of belonging, even if we didn't all agree, but just this idea, like in terms of like cousins, I got a lot of cousins. We grew up cousin siblings, basically. That feeling for me never left. That's what I built my companies off of. I built all my companies off of that plus the Mary J effect. Now,
Mary J
the
effect.
Mary J effect, if you look at her career, even to this day,
Mary J. Blige is what we're talking
Mary
about,
J.
right?
Blige, yeah, she's your homegirl. Period. Like from like everybody's homegirl from the jump. She always was that. She came out like that. She's still that to this day, and she's worked with everybody from Elton John to black artists as well, right? Like there's multiple. Her career is so long standing because she, in my opinion, is probably one of the most like super like she just her authentic. She gonna dance like she dance. She don't care what y'all say. She gonna wear them boots like she gonna wear them. She gonna be whatever she doing. Gonna be what she doing no matter what it is. Right? We don't feel that she's faking about anything. So I would say that like there's this level of authenticity, belonging that it is within me. So what I had to do is zoom out. So like we get so bogged into the work that happened. But eventually I was like, wait a minute. If I look across my whole career, I was a K through 12 educator. I worked in workforce development. I was a nanny. I was a poet. I worked at the patent and trademark office. I was a patent examiner. I worked at one point. Anyway, but yeah, multiple different roles over the course of my life. But I started to observe me. Who was I being in all of these roles? Who was I being? So it became less about I started because people would see me and go, "Oh my God, thank you for what you did. Oh my God, this event was so dope. Oh my God, like, oh my God, you changed my life. Oh my God." And like I don't feel like I could take credit for changing anybody's life, but like I'll say that like I do feel like I had to figure me out, and that was what I was focused on. So it wasn't walking into the power of it was like me coming to the realization of what I was doing that was causing the impact that it was causing. I would dare
Mm,
say the way you just described what you described, the best way I can describe it is like you're here with it and like the like eye level of it. But if you like zoom out and like were to look back at your life from like a global version of what you've done, you probably see themes along everything that you've done. That interest
exactly.
in like engaging people, that interest in like whether it be digital, whether it be,
I
analog,
say I
whatever
want
that
to
means.
communicate. When people say, "What do you do?" I said, "I'm a communicator and a connector." That is a theme. I have done an exercise like that before, and I can point to high school, middle school, but even as I got an adult, why was I in student government every year? And also in like the engagement, different the student
I would even
advance.
say not only are you saying you not only from what I'm hearing you say is a leader and a connector. I'm sorry, is a connector and a communicator, but there's something about leadership there. So there's yes, communicating and connecting, but there's when nobody else is communicating and connecting, you're communicating and connecting, and that's the leadership piece of it. So it's like you're leading the charge on the communicating and connecting, which is a little bit beyond anybody else that communicates and connects. And I would say, so what I've learned to do at coming to that realization of like this self-actualization and belonging piece that I continuously to create, even if I'm not thinking about it. Even when I'm not thinking about it, I'm doing it. And that's the other thing. It's like it's not that I'm setting out to do it. Literally, I was doing it without thinking about it because it's in me, not on me. Right? So like it's in me. It's who I am. So whether you meet me, if you meet me at the corner, if you meet me at the store, if you meet me in a big conference or while I'm on stage, I'm naturally doing it all the time. So I just zoomed out to name it so that I could plug it in more authentically into making other things grow. That's the point where I would say people should get to, where you observe your natural behaviors and the meaning that it has had for you and others, and then hone that into a space where you can now make, in my opinion, you don't have to do this for yours, but not you personally, but people out there. How do I make business grow doing it? That's where that's where I landed. Like, yes, this is me. A lot of people realize who they are, but they don't know how to make things grow with it. They don't know how to be that to make something else grow. That is what I've learned to do, and I'm still studying all the time how to do it. How do I make what I naturally do make other things or other people grow? That's what I landed on.
Okay.
And now I have a rhythm. So everything I do, I create community first. So anytime I'm watching something, I'm always thinking community first because I realize like that's what grows for me. Like, I think it's Jay-Z line. It goes, the people are in A&R in this is like, the people's, even in poetry, the people's poet versus the poet's poet. The poet's poet is like artsy and nobody really understands them but the other poets. The people's poet typically gets typically gets the most praise and the broadest audience. Not the most praise, but the broadest audience because they're going to the people. And so, yeah. We're over time though, and I gotta run, but and I know you gotta run too. But this is a great way to end the show. Great conversation because at the end of the show,
Show going
the show
in.
going in. So, but thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is the 30-day show. This is day 19. Tomorrow will be day 20, which will leave us only 10 days left, which is interesting. We did it. It's been breezing through. So y'all have a great rest of your day. Watch the replay if you didn't see it all, and we'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace. We out.